Hello students, welcome once again to my YouTube channel. I'm your English teacher. Today we are going to learn another lesson from your English textbook Honeycomb. The lesson concerns or deals with the theme of children's world, their spontaneity and imagination, ability to see contradictions in normal behavior, and some moving acts of charity. And the title of the lesson is A Gift of Chappals. Let's find it out. Lesson number 2, A Gift of Chappals. Before you read, Mridu is a young girl growing up in Madras, now called Chennai, with Tapi, her grandmother, and Tata, her grandfather. One afternoon, Tapi takes her to her aunt Rukumani's house to meet her cousins Lalli, Ravi and Meena. Now let's read A Gift of Chappals, Part 1. A smiling Rukumani trio opened the door. Ravi and Meena rushed out, and Ravi pulled Mridu into the house. "Wait, let me take off my slippers," protested Mridu. She set them out neatly near a pair of large black ones. Those were grey, actually with dust. You could see the clear mark of every toe on the front part of each slipper. The marks for the two big toes were long and scrawny. Mridu didn't have much time to wonder about whose slippers they were, because Ravi dragged her to the backyard. Behind a thick bitterberry bush, there, inside a torn football lined with sacking and filled with sand, lay a very small kitten lapping up milk for a coconut half-shell. "We found him outside the gate this morning. He was mewing and mewing, poor thing," said Meena. "It's a secret. Amma says Pati will leave for our Padu Mama's house if she knows we have a kid." "People are always telling us to be kind to animals, but when we are, they scream." "Oh, don't bring that dirty creatures here," said Ravi. "Do you know how hard it is just to get a little milk from the kitten? Pati saw me with a glass in my hand just now. I told her I'm very hungry. I want to drink it, but the way she looked at me, I had to drink most of it to throw her off the scent. Then she wanted the tumbler back. Pati, I will wash it myself. Why should I put you to trouble?" I told her. I had to run and pour the milk into this coconut shell, and then run back and wash the tumbler and put it back before she got really suspicious. Now we have to think of some other way to feed Mahendran. Mahendran, this little kitty's name is Mahendran." Mridu was impressed. It was a real name, not just a cute kitty cat name. Actually, his full name is Mahendra Burma Pallab Punai, MP Punai, for short if you like. He is a fine breed of cat. Just look at his fur, like a lion's mane. And you know what the emblem of the ancient Pallava kings was, don't you? He looked expectantly at Mridu. Mridu giggled. Think I'm joking? Well, just wait, I will show you sometime. It's clear you don't know a thing about history. Haven't been to Mahabalipuram? Have you? He said mysteriously. Well, when our class went to Mahabalipuram, I saw a statue of his Tathas, etc., etc. Fact is, Mahendran here is descended from that very same ancient Kate, a close relative, scientifically speaking, of none other than the lion, the Pallava lion, emblem of the Pallava dynasty. Ravi went on, walking round the bitter very bush, waving a twig and up and down, his eyes sparkling. This cat is descendant of none other than the Mahabalipuram Rishi cat, and if I may just remind you, they worshipped cats in ancient Egypt. How he loved the sound of his own voice. Meena and Mridu exchanged looks. What does that have to do with anything? Mridu demanded. Huh? I'm telling you this cat is descended from the Egyptian cat god. No, goddess. Bastard. Yeah, that's it. So? Well, one of the descendants of that cat goddess was a stowaway in one of the Pallava ships, and his descendant was the Mahabalipuram Rishi cat, whose descendant is, Ravi flourished his twig at Mahendran, MP Punai here, Wolf Eek. He shrank, was very pleased with himself. Mahendran looked up, alarmed. He had just been sharpening his claws on the edge of the coconut shell. But worse than Ravi's awful wolf eek was a screech. From the window, what a weird sound! If Mridu was startled, MP Punai was frightened out of his wits. Hair standing on end, he bounced out and scurried towards a bamboo tree of red chilies that had been set out to dry, trying to hide beneath it. He tipped a few chilies over himself. Meow, he howled miserably. The screeching went on and on. What's that noise? Said Mridu. That's Lalli learning to play the violin, grunted Ravi. She will never learn a thing. The music master just goes on playing like a train, whizzing on and on, while Lalli's all the time derailing, going completely off the track. Before we read this comprehension check, let's just have a checking on these word meanings. Weird, strange or unusual. Stowaway, someone who hides himself, herself in a ship or an aircraft to travel unnoticed. Descended from, a descendant of or comes from the same family. Tata, grandfather in Tamil. Throw her off the scent, mislead her so that she wouldn't understand the real purpose. Pati, grandmother in Tamil. Scrawny, thin, suggesting skinny toes. Now let's read the comprehension check. What is the secret that Meena shares with Mridu in the backyard? How does Ravi get milk for the kitten? Who does he say the kitten's ancestors are? Do you believe him? Ravi has a lot to say about MP Pune. This shows that He is merely trying to impress Mridu. His knowledge of history is sound. He has a rich imagination. He is an intelligent child. Which of these statements do you agree/disagree to? What was the noise that startled Mridu and frightened Mahendran? Just give it a thought on these questions. We will continue reading part 2. Mridu crept up to the window. Lali was sitting a little distance away, awkwardly holding her violin and bowstring, her elbows jutting out and her eyes glazed with concentration. In front of her, with most of his back to the window, was the bony figure of the music master. He had a mostly bald head, with a fringe of oil-black hair falling around his ears and an old-fashioned tuft. A gold chain gleamed around his leathery neck, and a diamond ring glittered on his hand, as it glided up and down the stem of the violin. A large foot stuck out from beneath his gold-bordered vasty edge, and he was beating time on the floor with the scrawny big toe. He played a few notes. Lali stumbled behind him on her violin, which looked quite helpless. Glided, moved along smoothly. Vasti, dhoti in Tamil, stumble, followed haltingly. Just have a look at this picture. The 3 children outside picking at Lali, who is learning violin from his music teacher, and unhappy in her hands. What a difference! The music master's notes seemed to float up and settle perfectly into the invisible tracks of the melody. It was like the wheels of a train fitting smoothly into the rails and whizzing along. As Ravi said, Mridu stared at that huge Barin's hand moving effortlessly up the violin stem, making lovely music. Birinj, the music master, is wearing a ring. Squawk! There was Lali derailing again. Amma, came a wail from the gate. Amma, oh! Ravi, send that beggar away, cried his mother from the back veranda where she was chatting with Tapi. He has been coming here every day for the past week, and it's time he found another house to beg from, Pati explained to Tapi. Mridu and Meena followed Ravi out. The beggar was already in the garden, making himself quite at home. He had spread his upper clothes under the neem tree and was leaning against its trunk, apparently prepared to take a little snooze while he waited for the arms to appear. Go away, said Ravi sternly. My Pati says it's time you found another house to beg from. The beggar opened his eyes very wide and gazed at each of the children one by one. The ladies of this house, he said at last in a voice choked with feeling, are very kind souls. I have kept my body and soul together on their generosity for a whole week. I cannot believe that they would turn me away. He raised his voice. Amma, Amma, oh, said his well might be, but it certainly wasn't feebled. It began in a deep, strong rumble somewhere in his weighted belly and came booming out of his mouth with each few remaining teeth stained brown with bitter chewing. Let's have a check on this word meaning snooze. Short-sleeved, kept my body and soul together, managed to stay alive. Now let's continue reading. Ravi, tell him there's nothing left in the kitchen, called Rukumani. And is not to come again, tell him that. He sounded fed up. Ravi didn't have to repeat it all to the beggar. What his mother said had been easy for them all to hear. There under the neem tree, the beggar sat up and sighed. Fed up means tired and unhappy. I will go, he said wearily. Only let me have a rest here under this tree. The sun is so hot. The tar has melted on the road. My feet are already blistered. He stretched out his feet to show large pink, peeling blisters on the soles of his bare feet. I suppose he doesn't have the money to buy chappals, Mridu whispered to Meena Ravi. Have you got an old pair in the house somewhere? I don't know, said Ravi. Mine are too small to fit his feet, or I would have given them to him. And his feet were larger than Mridu's and Meena's. The beggar was shaking out his upper clothes and tightening his dhoti. He raised his eyes and looked fearfully at the road, gleaming in the afternoon heat. He needs something on his feet, Meena said, her big eyes filling. It's not fair. Shh, said Ravi. I'm thinking about it, blubbering. It's not fair. It's not fair. Isn't going to help. In 2 minutes he will be frying his feet on that rod. What he needs is a pair of chappals. So where do we get them? Come, let's search the house. He pushed Mridu and Meena into the house. Just as he stepped into the veranda, Mridu's eyes fell on the odd-looking chappals. She had noticed when she arrived. Ravi, she whispered to him, whose are those? Ravi turned and glanced at the shabby-looking but sturdy old sleepers. He beamed and nodded. These are just the right size, he said, picking them up. Mridu and Meena followed him nervously back to the garden. Here, said Ravi to the beggar, dropping the sleepers in front of the old man. Wear these and don't come back. The beggar stared at the sleepers, hurriedly flung his towels over his shoulders, pushed his feet into them, and left, muttering a blessing to the children. In a minute he had vanished round the corner of the street. The music master came out of the house and took an unappreciative look at the three of them, sitting quietly under the tree, playing marvels. Unappreciative meaning disapproving. Then he searched for his chappals in the veranda where he had put them. Lalli, he called. After a few moments, she hurried up to him. Have you seen my chappals, my dear? I remember keeping them here. I remember having kept them here. Ravi, Mridu and Meena silently watched Lalli and the music master search every corner of the veranda. He scurried around, looking over the railing, crouching near the flower pots to look between them. Brand new they were. I went all the way to Mount Road to buy them. He went on saying they cost a whole month's fees. Do you know? Soon Lalli went in to tell her mother. Rukumani appeared, looking harassed, with Pati following her. Where could they be? It's really quite upsetting to think someone might have stolen them. So many bandits come to the door, worried Pati. Rukumani caught sight of Ravi, Mridu, and Meena sitting under the tree. Have you children? She began, and then seeing they were curiously quiet, went on more slowly. Seen anyone lurking round the veranda? A soft V-shaped line had formed between her eyebrows. Under the straight Titus one appeared in place of her. Usually soft, pleasant mouth, Rukumani was angry, thought Mridu with a shiver. She wouldn't be so upset if she knew about the poor beggar with sores on his feet. She tried to tell herself. Taking a deep breath, she cried, Rukumani, there was a beggar here. Poor thing, he had such boils on his feet. So, said Rukumani grimly, turning to Ravi, you gave the music master's chappals to that old beggar who turns up here. Children these days, groaned Pati. Amma, didn't you tell me about Karna, who gave away everything he had, even his gold earrings? He was so kind and generous. Silly, snapped Rukumani. Karna didn't give away other people's things. He only gave away his own. But my chappal won't have fitted the beggar's feet, Rabi rashly owned. And Amma, if they did fit, would you really not have minded? Rabi, said Rukumani, very angry now. Go inside this minute. She hurried indoors and brought out Gopu Mama's hardly worn new chappals. These should fit you, sir. Please put this on. I'm so sorry my son has been very naughty. The music master's eyes lit up. He put them on, trying not to look too happy. Well, I suppose this will have to do. These days, children have no respect for elders. What to do? A Hanuman incarnate. Only Rama can save such a naughty fellow. Rukumani's eyes flashed. She didn't seem to like Ravi being called a monkey, even a holy monkey. She stood stiff and straight by the front door. It was clear she wanted him to leave quickly. When he had clattered off in his new chappals, she said, Mridu, come in and have some tiffin. Honestly, how do you children think of such things? Thank God your Gopu Mama doesn't wear his chappals to work. As he walked towards the kitchen with Mridu and Meena, she suddenly began to laugh. But he's always in such a hurry to throw up his shoes and socks and get into his chappals as soon as he comes home. What's your mama going to say this evening when I tell him I gave his chappals to the music master? Clattered off, meaning gone off noisily with a noise on the clattered of chappals. Okay. So it's a story written by Vasantha Surya from Mridu in Madras. Goruchaka turns out. I think the story is an excerpt, has been taken out, part and parcel of the whole. Mridu in Madras, Goruchaka turns out. Now let's check this comprehension exercises. The music master is making lovely music. Read aloud the sentence in the text that expresses this idea. Had the beggar come to Rukumani's house for the first time? Give reasons for your answer. A soft V-shaped line had formed between her eyebrows. What does it suggest to you about Rukumani's mood? First, let me give you a brief explanation about this lesson, about this whole story. Mridu, a young girl, went to her aunt Rukumani's house with Tapi, her grandmother. She met her cousins Lali, Ravi and Meena. So besides Mridu, who is visiting to her aunt's house with her grandmother. She had 3 cousins. 3 are the children: Lali, Ravi and Meena. Ravi and Meena took her to the backyard where they had hidden a kitten. Ravi called the kitten Mahendran, which very much impressed Mridu. Lali was learning to play the violin. The music master used to come to their house to give her music lessons. A beggar was also a regular visitor to Rukumani's house. Rukumani finally got fed up and asked him not to come again. The beggar saw the children large pink peeling blisters on the soles of his feet. Mridu concluded that he had no money to buy a pair of chappals. To show her concern, Mridu suggested Meena and Ravi to give him a pair of chappals if they have one in the house. As such operation started, it led them to the veranda and where they found the music teacher's, the music master's chappals lying on the floor. They took it and gave them to the beggar. After some time, the music master came out of the house and found his chappals missing. Displeased, he started looking for them everywhere. The matter was soon brought to the notice of Rukumani, the grandmother. She suspected children's hand in it. When it was confirmed that children had given the chappals to the beggar, she gave Gopu Mama's chappals to the music master. She did exactly what the children had done before. The pair of chappals she gave to the music master was not her own. She also wondered what Gopu Mama would say on knowing that she had given his chappals to the music master. Now let's discuss that comprehension check part 1 first. Here. Just have a look at the questions. We have already read this. What is the secret that Meena shares with Mridu in the backyard? The secret is that Meena tells Mridu they have found a small kitten outside the gate that morning. They have hidden it behind a bush in the backyard. How does Ravi get milk for the kitten? Ravi gets milk for the kitten by stealing some milk from the kitchen for the kitten. By stealing from the kitchen. That is the answer. Pati sees him with a glass in his hand. He tells a lie that he is very hungry and wants to drink it, but actually it was for the kitten. Who does he say the kitten's ancestors are? Do you believe him? You see, Ravi says that the little kitten is the descendant of Rishikesh of Mahabalipuram. He had quite a fanciful explanation about the descendant of that kitten. But it is a mere fantasy. Number 4. Ravi has a lot to say about MP Punai. This shows that He is merely trying to impress Mridu. His knowledge of history is sound. He has a rich imagination. He is an intelligent child. Which of these statements do you agree or disagree to? See, Roman number 1 and Roman number 3 sounds reasonable. He is merely trying to impress Mridu, and he also has a rich imagination. Number 5. What was the noise that startled Mridu and frightened Mahendran? A weird screech sound from the window startled Mridu and frightened Mahendran. It was a weird screech sound. Now let's check comprehension exercise number 2. Here, the music master is making lovely music. Read aloud the sentence in the text that expresses his idea. This idea. The music master's notes seem to float off and settle perfectly into the invisible tracks of the melody. See, you have to find out the sentences. But to had the beggar come to Rukumani's house for the first time, give reasons for your answer. Actually, it's no. The beggar had not come for the first time. He had been a regular visitor since the past 1 week. It was confirmed from the speech, from the dialogue of the beggar. Number 3, a soft V-shaped line had formed between her eyebrows. What does it suggest to you about Rukumani's mood? It suggests that Rukumani is in an angry mood. Now, working with the text, complete the following sentences. Rabi compares Lali's playing the violin to derailing of train. Trying to hide beneath the tray of chilies, Mahendran tipped a few chilies over himself. The teacher played a few notes on his violin and Lali stumbled behind him. The beggar said that the kind ladies of the household were very generous and could not turn him away. After the lesson was over, the music teacher asked Lali if she had seen his chappals. You have to check this out from the lesson. To describe the music teacher as seen from the window. The music teacher had a bony figure with a mostly bald hat, with a fringe of oiled black hair falling around his ears and an old-fashioned tuft. A gold chain gleamed round his leathery neck and a diamond ring glittered on his hands. But 3. What makes Mridu conclude that the beggar has no money to buy chappals? What does he suggest to show her concern? See, the beggar showed them large, pink, peeling blisters on the soles of his bare feet. This made Mridu conclude he had no money to buy chappals. To show her concern, Mridu suggests to Mina and Rabi to give the beggar a pair of chappals if they have a spare one in the house. Have you children? She began, and then, seeing they were curiously quiet, went on more slowly. Seen anyone lurking round the veranda? What do you think Rukumani really wanted to ask? Why did she change her questions? What did she think had happened? Rukumani really wanted to ask the children if they knew anything about the stolen chappals, the missing chappals. Seeing children curiously quiet, he changed her questions. She was sure that the children had some hand in the happening. On getting Gopu Mama's chappals, the music teacher tried not to look too happy. Why? The music teacher had already declared that his chappals were brand new, bought recently from the Mount Road. They were very costly, at least according to him. In fact, his chappals were old and shabby, but he wanted to show that the chappals given to him were no match to his old chappals. On getting a gift of chappal, the beggar vanished in a minute. Why was he in such a hurry to leave? Probably the beggar feared that Ravi's mother, Rukumani, might come and take back those chappals. Walking towards the kitchen with Mridu and Mina, Rukumani began to laugh. What made her laugh? She thought that she had done exactly the same the children had done, and of Gopu Mama's reaction, and thinking of Gopu Mama's reaction to be when he returned home in the evening, made her laugh. She was telling the children that she even mentioned that Karna did not give away things which did not belong to him. He only gave away things that belonged to him. And after scolding the children, what she did was the same which the children did. So she was laughing, thinking on her behavior and thinking on the reaction to be after the Gopu Mama returns. Working with language, read the following sentences. If she knows what we have a cat party will leave the house, she won't be so upset if she knows about the poor beggar with sores on his feet. If the chappals do fit, will you really not mind? Notice that each sentence consists of two parts. The first part begins with if. It is known as if clause. Rewrite each of the following pairs of sentences as a single sentence. Use if at the beginning of the sentence. Walk fast, you will catch the bus. If you walk fast, you will catch the bus. Don't speed on the road, you will be fined. If you speed on the road, you will be fined. This is very interesting. Grammar related questions. You have to try this. Don't tire yourself now. You won't be able to walk in the evening. The answer may be like this. If you tire yourself now, you won't be able to work in the evening. Study regularly, you will do well in the examination. If you study regularly, you will do well in the examination. Work hard, you will pass the examination in the first division. If you work hard, you will pass the examination in the first division. Be polite to people, they will also be polite to you. If you are polite to people, they will also be polite to you. Don't tease the dog, it will bite you. If you tease the dog, it will bite you. It's very simple and interesting too. Now fill in the blanks in the following paragraph. Today is Sunday. I'm wondering whether I should stay at home or go out. If I go, it remains unchanged. If I go out, I will miss the lovely Sunday lunch at home. If I stay remains unchanged. For lunch, I will miss the Sunday film showing at Archana Theatre. I think I will go out and see the film only to avoid getting too fat. Next, let's try this. Complete each sentence below by appropriately using any one of the following. If you want to, slash, if you don't want to, slash, if you want him to. Number 1. Don't go to the theater if you don't want to. He will post your letter if you want him to. Please use my pen if you want to. He will lend you his umbrella if you want him to. My neighbor Ramesh will take you to the doctor if you want him to. Don't eat it if you don't want to. That's it. Now speaking and writing. Discuss in small groups if you want to give away something of your own to the needy. Would it be better to ask your elders first? Is there someone of your age in the family who is very talkative? Do you find her/him interesting and impressive or otherwise? Share your ideas with others in the group. Has Rukumani done exactly the same as the children in your opinion? Then is it right for one party to blame the other? This exercise is only for the students. You should try this, but we must always keep this in mind doing this exercise, that the story is written in a comical vein, not in a serious matter. It is supposed to be a comic mood and not a serious issue. So consider this into account while discussing this and writing the answers. Read the following. A group of children in your class are going to live in a hostel. They have been asked to choose a person in the group to share a room with. They are asking each other questions to decide who would like to share a room with. Ask one another questions about likes, dislikes, preferences, hobbies, personal characteristics. Use the following questions and sentence openings. What do you enjoy doing after school? I enjoy. What do you like in general? I like. Do you play any games? I don't like. Would you mind if I listen to music after dinner? I won't. Will it be alright if I? It's fine with me. Is there anything you dislike particularly? Well, I can't share. Do you like to attend parties? Oh, I. What you say you are? I think. So these are the exercises, and students should do this on their own by discussing in small groups and this box contains an answers of the previous questions. Let's check this out. A fun fact. Do you know what this tall bird does on sensing danger from far is to lie flat on the ground with its long neck almost horizontal. The enemy may not spot the ostrich in this position from a distance and it may be mistaken for a shrub or bush. If the danger is close by, the ostrich will take off and run. Though ostriches cannot fly, they can run as fast as 65 km per hour. If cornered, they give a swift hard kick. An ostrich burying its head insane to escape attention is a metaphor for people who ignore rather than face a problem. So it's a fun fact. Thank you, students, for joining this session. Try the exercises and all the best for your study. Thank you once again.